Hello. Oh, tag friends. 1 second. Oops. I think I should have done this on a laptop. It would have been much better. Um, but here we are. And so I guess we let a couple of people join us, and we can pick it up from there. I'm so under the weather today. My email Nico Fever. Okay. I think that's about it. Hello. Hey there. Okay. Okay. So, good afternoon from my end. I'm so disoriented right now. I'm not even sure how we're doing this. So, first, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're all well and you're all keeping safe with your loved ones. We're just tired. We're so tired. We are just so exhausted because it's the same story every time, and it's very disempowering when you want to do work, when you're doing actual work, or trying to make some kind of change. But every single time, if it's not the discussion of it that's draining you down, it's what's happening is what is draining you down. And you do not only feel bad about what's happening, you lose the encouragement, the strength to do the actual work itself. And I just thought that it was, I was sitting down and I just could not sift the focus of what this fight has to be. And I think it is such a shame. First, two shames. One is that we are a society that has a political setup that does not have to pay the price for ignoring, neglecting women, right? At all. The political system is set up in a way that there is no price to pay for any kind of behavior that doesn't support women, any kind of behavior that perpetuates violence on women, or for the lack of doing anything in the actual progression in the literal lives of women, not just the lip service of it. And to think that we are 50% of the population is pathetic. It begs the question of where is the root cause for that? You wrap everything together that has been happening in whether it's the cases that you hear about violence being done onto women, and I mean the whole talk that is happening on social media, which is what we do often. We sit down, there's a topic, there's a conversation, and we latch onto that. And basically most times we do not do it because of the status of the victim, but because of the status of the perpetrator that has done this, right? And we latch onto that and we scream on top of our lungs. And the people that are in power to make actual changes, either enable or not enable these issues, ignore it, because you would hear them say, "Bàyyi leen gaay ñu wax dañoo wax rek léegi tey wax bi mu jeex," and then they pass and romba na wax. You have a country in which the Ministry of Justice has put out a statement sometime last year at the Truth Commission when a victim testified and said that somebody who works at the ministry locked the door on them and forced her to touch his penis, right? And the ministry put out a statement that they're working with the TRC to get to the bottom of this issue. That person still works in that office. That person still works in that office. You know, the statements and the writings and we are in solidarity, that's one thing, right? It's almost like a political behavior, something that you're doing to kind of receive some remorse or to tick a box to say, hey, ministry be definitely, organization be definitely, key definitely. When all of that is said and done, in the actual lives of these women, you don't do anything. The perpetrators continue to stand where they're at. They're given some kind of superpower after they've been outed for what they've been doing. And somehow we're supposed to be comfortable with that. And I think as people that continue to fight this fight, I think it's time we sift the conversation to hold not only perpetrators accountable, but institutions accountable. For me, at a personal level, it's pathetic and it's so unfortunate that as a 24-year-old who has lived decades, you know, all we knew is dictatorship. And within that, for me, the perspective is, for the past 2 decades of my life, of our lives, we lived in a dictatorship and we live within the confines of intense violence being done to women's bodies. We lived with a president who himself was a dictator and a rapist. Do not forget that. To move on to another government whose intent and for all purposes are paying lip service to women's issues. And the first lady of that country, the one that we rely on, we depend on to literally safeguard our lives, is an ally to alleged rapist. Oh, let me take that out. Rapist. The same way you are privy to saying alleged rapist until the court's decided, the same way I'm privy to say rapist until the court decides it's not. We are sick and tired of fixing the words, fixing the statements, of listening to ignorance being spewed, to having to deal with the hurt of people that are supposed to protect you not even understand what rape is. When we came out to march, and part of this video is to confront the leadership of that country. The institutions that we have in place that are supposed to help implement the laws that we have, help to support, amplify women's voices, our cries. It seemed to me we only matter, and it's so disrespectful, that we only matter when you want to have political votes, when you want to be voted in office, that we sing and dance and clap for you. That we bring about the most eloquent changes in that country. You think about the women of the Kalama Revolution. Great respect, massive respect for those women. Even though within their own institutions and the groups they come from, the men end up neglecting them. We use as tools and pawns to get you into office. And when you do, somehow our lives do not matter. Our bodies do not matter. This is war. You do not get to neglect violence being done to me. You do not get to hang and dine and eat and laugh with the people who rape our women and claim to respect us and claim to fight for us. It's almost impossible. And let me speak Mandinka here so we can have an understanding of what's going on here. With all due respect, Madam First Lady, with all due respect, with whatever political affiliation or interpretation is put to anything anybody says now, this is me speaking to you as a survivor, someone who can explain to you what it is like to be raped, that the women groups in that country, the survivors of all types of GBV, are sick and tired of tiptoeing around your silence. I wish we were a country. I wish munum bankol timiya lonko ila diamo wala ila diamo balia abam feng faling. I wish mu bankolti andu musu grupo leti miya lonko nga sembo soto mbe fango londi la nyamen mbe mimfola ay tambi mbe na dunyo nyini la nyamen ay tambi wa tara mela support ila diamo la ila diamo balia wa tara mansulala bari nkita bankolti miya lonko ila diamo wala ila diamo balia ayen affect le ika minke ika minfo ini minka si ini minka diamo ini minka jele ini milka dung ini milka finti. Unfortunately, ayen tola life affect le. Ila positional ayen tola life affect le. When you were an ordinary Fatou Barrow walking around the cities of Serekunda and Banjul, ye minfo yemi mam minfo amam batandi aman na dunia faling amam fenche na dunia kono bari mbe tembo minto teng. Gambia musol be kumbo kanne. Andu hani rape man kumase bi. GBV man kumase bi. Ka musolu balo tilimbali ya bayri mu musolte aman kumase bi am metan konole. Niaje bi akumo be selala bake. Molle hanyita ka finti ka diam. Mol be diam ka akuola la walati na akuo be moykan bara manke ko akuo datita bile. Kabrim fintita in 2019. Gambia musolo fintita iko ibe match kanne. Ibe match kan munella because tilimbali ya kuo minka ke molo kan. Hashtag I am Toufah. But woman tell a story leti andung I thought I important tell can tell a story ta isajeng a story dulu fana fintindi. Biting alayake unfortunately media like sensationalization. They like to sensationalize stories. Right? Depending on the status of the perpetrator, not even the victim. They pick and choose what stories they're interested in. So when they're interested in your story, you use it to amplify other stories. When we came out in the streets in 2019, major, we didn't see you. I'm not sure if you were waiting for an invitation. I don't think we should ever have to invite you. to come and listen to our voices, to march with us. It's one thing to keep quiet. It's another thing for us to see you siding with perpetrators. It's another thing to see you dining and whining with perpetrators. What you do not say, Imam Mimfo, is much more clearer than what you say. There is more understanding and definition in the things that you don't do than it is in the things that you say and do. And we cannot keep tiptoeing around it. You know, we cannot keep saying, oh, Karen in first lady, you know, and in modo government onto their clothes. Karen in modo government onto anata la sua konale. Kari in the government ye delegation oki kari la moliale. It cannot keep happening. You have to pick a side. It is time where you do not sit on a fence. And if you do not understand the issues, reach out to women's organizations. Reach out to all these women that are putting their lives on the line and ask them what's going on. What is this about? How can I actually help? When you keep quiet and we see you in pictures with perpetrators, and when we hear delegations have been sent to homes of women, that is a very clear information as to where you stand. And you need to debunk that. You need to tell us where you stand. Because you're either with us or you're not. You're either with the women of that country or you're not. We are sick and tired of the lip service. We are sick and tired of, oh, we have opened up, you know, the Ministry of Women's Affairs. Where is the Ministry of Women's Affairs? What have you done so far? To put it in a nutshell, what I am trying to say is, we will refocus our campaign to not only raise awareness on SGBV and make sure cases are prosecuted, but also that we go into these communities from whom you seek your votes from and make sure that we do tell them about where your position lies when it comes to SGBV issues, when it comes to women's issues in general. You will have to somehow be responsible enough to want to care, to sow to care, to put women's issues at the forefront before you can seek for our votes. And this goes beyond even the people that are in power. It is to challenge all the political parties as well. Where is your manifesto? Where does your manifesto stand when it comes to issues of SGBV? Do you have a policy? Do you have a dedicated segment on these issues? Do you have a proposed guideline to reporting mechanisms? Do you have a policy or proposed guidelines on how to protect victims, witnesses, court procedures? What is your stance on how long cases do take at police stations and in court? Why is it not important enough for that to seek votes for you? Again, all on us. Because once the issue is raised enough, when we put it to our communities that it is as important as the other issues on which you seek your votes on, you will take us seriously. And that is a promise. And that's what we are going to do. We are going to interfere in communities you seek your vote from to make sure the issues of SGBV is a forefront of a voting issue. People vote on that issue. People vote for you based on where your stance is on that issue. Because apparently, the only thing that shakes your rooms and your houses for you to care enough is what it costs you politically. Banko Obama, Banko la sister. Amanke Toti. Banko Obama comes with a responsibility. Moma for a fintie specific side. The principle of it, moy. You become impartial. You are for everybody. For all of us. When you interfere in cases, and it doesn't even have to be legally. It doesn't have to be you having a lawyer go defend the person. Just your presence in a community and a country that you know. Have respect for their elders. Have respect and worship people in power. Just for you to have a delegation of people associated with you, whether they come directly from you or not, walking into the homes of helpless women and young girls, tampers with their stance as to how they should proceed with their cases. That is the fact. For me, I cannot fathom coming from decades of leadership with a leader and a president who's a rapist to moving on to another form of government in which the president, the wife of the president, are rape apologists or ignores issues of rape. No, it can't be. I don't know what it is going to take for you to listen. I wish we didn't need you, but we do. And you have to get back to us and tell us whether we can rely on you or not, whether you are for us or you're not. And when we're clear on that, then we get to know what to do. It's time that we march to the State House. It's time that we march to your doors. It's time that we disrupt your political rallies, demanding that SGBV is an issue that is alarming enough that it needs your attention. And miss me with the excuse of, oh, Gambia has great laws, but we have issues with implementation. You don't. You don't have issues with implementations. Y'all implement things you want to implement. You do not have issues implementing your budget lines. You do not have issues distributing the rights to the people that you want to. You do not have issues firing and hiring the people you want to or not want to. That has not been an issue implementing that. There are not issues implementing the rights that you have given to you by the Constitution of the country to give emergency notices or to take them back. You implement those perfectly fine. You implement your salaries perfectly fine. There is no implementations issues there. No matter how many people are working within the government, the head, the secretary general, all of y'all, you don't have issues implementing the cars you're supposed to have, your allowances, your per diem, your travel routines. There is no implementation problem when it comes to those issues. But there are implementation problems when it comes to implementing policies and laws that surround women, the poor people, and victims in that country. And you wonder why. The Facebook post is not cutting it. You know, the let's collaborate is not cutting it. You use us. You go to UN, you go to all these international organizations, and you use words like the SDGs goal of 2020, women empowerment, women yardstick, women this, Ministry of Justice. We have set up, we have come up, we have created, we have too much English, just too much. Mbatatale. Mbatatale. Man energy nyin soto. ka rape apologists all confront on in our daily lives, online, within the work that we do, walking into communities and telling them report issues here, report issues there, and at the end of the day, when we do all of that, they look up at the top and they see a leadership that says is okay. They see a leadership that says, let's take prosecuting perpetrators lightly. They see leaders that ignore the issue. They see a leadership that hangs and dines with rapists and rape apologists. Even the women they hang out with are the known rape apologists, and it doesn't matter what the case is. And I continue to say that. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a rape apologist has it ingrained in them to find the butt. You could give them a video of the rape, they will find a butt. You can't close those loopholes with them. You can't. We can ignore that. I can ignore that. All the people that work on this issue can ignore those people and do the actual work in the communities. But it's crippling when you look up there and there's nothing that backs it up. I spent the last 2 weeks killing myself. I mean, that's out of other months, interpreting legal terminologies and issues around SGBV into all our major local languages. You're doing that and you're like, oh my God, this is good content. This is good. When this hits Soul Radio, when this hits this radio, you know, the people for the, you know, somebody who only understands Mandinka or Fula or Wolof would listen and hear about all the one-stop centers, the places to go, what is available, what are the forms of SGBV, how do they recognize it, how do they report it. You're so excited about that. And then you just open up one thing, or you receive information about the First Lady of the country, some powerful person in the government, thinks it's okay. It kills your spirit. You're killing us. It's only a couple of us having to deal with biased media led by a misogynistic man somewhere, somehow, having to deal with apologists everywhere, having to deal with it from within your own family, having to deal with other women, trying to enlighten other women, to awaken them from the conditioning they've been conditioned into. And at the same time, I gotta worry about the president and his wife and the government and the institutions put in place to protect us. No one has energy for that. What will it take? We take our microphones and our banners and our sticks and we march to your doors? Is that what it take? Would it take reaching out to New York Times, BBC, CNN to have a segment on you and how we think you are a rape apologist? And then you might care because you all seem to care what the international body thinks, or people outside of the country. What says you? I can't wrap my head around any of it. But one thing I can promise you is, it never gets so hard that we're going to stop. We are 3 times as dedicated. And we will sift our jeers. We will attack whatever it is that is important to you. And we know what that is. Your political viewpoints and standings, your political groups, the people you hope will vote for you, your name, how you are viewed in the international community, yeah, we know those things matter to you. And we're not doing it in silence or in hiding. We're actually telling you. Because we cannot afford to have war being waged on our bodies openly. There is so much misinformation and ignorance we already have to deal with. There are people on Facebook and online with billions and thousands of followers talking about hayalo nenike woni muso kirita bunkono or whatever. And you know what's funny? What's insanely funny is when these things come out in the minute that they do, let's say it comes to the consciousness of social media, and you assume that this just happened. Like, oh, this case just came out of nowhere. And for the people that know about the case, for the people that have been on this case since I was in Gambia in 2019, who have used and exhausted their energy, they just sit back and look at you jump on this newfound information with zero understanding of the basis on it. But you just have to find a write-up to write to excuse what's happening. As if you cannot just choose silence. As if silence is not an option for all of you on here. Mrs. Fatou Barrow, the government of the Gambia, you know, the institutions we have put in place, the courts, the police, the Ministry of Justice. When we do all the advocacy we do, when we reach out to all the communities that we reach out to, we are basically redirecting them to you. That's what the work is. And think about the fact that we are redirecting all these people to a dead zone, to nowhere. What will it take for you to care? You know, as Jama Jack said, is it going to take bloody panties or pictures of a bleeding vagina or bodies being piled together? I don't understand what it is going to take. When we speak, you do not speak with us. When we march, you do not march with us. When we cry, you do not cry with us. But the Gambian women and boys and men need an awakening on that. I think it's time to really work on the issues of SGBV, you know, human trafficking, all these things that affect us disproportionately on huge amounts. To kind of make it a point that you have to have some sort of policy on this issue for a segment of the population to vote for you. That is a mission. That's a promise. You know, there's this report on some county, a county in Kenya, where 4,000 girls that were under 18 have been impregnated. And that's all due to this whole COVID moment that's happening. And for me, it makes me wonder how much of that is going on in the Gambia. In the next 6 months, in the next 9 months, What are some of the things that will come out? You don't have to do gymnastics to get to a point where you look at Gambia, you look at our culture, you look at our people, honestly, and all the bullshit that comes with speaking out, and you think the story is not worth looking into. And you think that the woman somewhere, somehow, no matter what the variation of the story is, there is some truth to that. Just the benefit of that doubt. But it's hard to see that, you know, when you do not even understand the dynamics of it. And for our government and you know, all these institutions that we look forward to, we don't need you to come out and speak no big English. Sohla winko. The majority of the people that have been affected, that continue to be affected by these, do not even understand English. You don't have to find a writer to write anything. Finti inila mole diamo. Right? Finti inila mole diamo. Finti yatandi na ko you care. Because lafta kalo nela position umuminity. And I don't want it to be we think, we want it to be very clear. People put their lives on the line to speak out. Literal lives on the line to speak out. And that's different from what they've been through. You have a country and a nation who cares about how a guy feels. You know what's interesting is how one can care about other girls that were brought to this world by that man, but not about the girl that it has happened to. And the child the girl is going to have, who has to live with the stigma of what has happened to her mother. It's a generational thing, man. But who cares? Who cares? She doesn't have the future. She doesn't have the company that she's running that's going to crumble. She's just some nobody 18-year-old. She doesn't have connections to anybody in any powerful position. She almost doesn't exist. Her experiences and her sufferings and the pause on her life and all of those things, we can excuse it. Nga kacha dorong. Nga kacha, nga maslaha, yan nembe mo padi wanleti. But we're dealing with that fight. And that's a fight and a conversation I cannot possibly have on a Facebook Live. There's so much groundwork being done to actually affect the life of actual women and the support this woman need to make our societies understand what it is that we are talking about in the first place, to dealing with misogynistic individuals that have taken it upon themselves to attack in order to listen. And I understand that. We are shaking a table that has been rooted in concrete for decades and centuries. Yes, it's gonna have a fight back. It's gonna have a pushback. Your personality, who you are, would be attacked. We get all of that. All of that we are ready to take. But you know what we cannot take though? To know that we are redirecting people to the top of our institutional ladder that do not care, that will not respond, that will not give them the justice they deserve. That's futile work. So to all the political parties in that country, to the current government in place, we are going to reach out to communities and we will tell them where your stance is when it comes to women's issues. We will galvanize women voters to vote on women's interest, to vote for parties and people and groups that care about our well-being, that care to challenge people, systems, organizations that ignore war against our bodies. We're going to redirect that. And I just thought I should come on today here to put that out there and hope that you respond, and hope that you take a clear stance and miss me with the statement. Miss me with the statement that says we're going to look into it. Miss me with it. We have heard it again and again. Again, someone who works at the Ministry of Justice, named at the TRC, we know who he is, and he knows himself, and his colleagues know who he is. Continue to work there up to this date, even after a statement. So miss me with the statements. We want to hear you want to collaborate. We want to hear you want to use your position in that country, your access to our people, to clarify things. If you do not know, ask to be educated on the issues. We can't be friends. We can't be by you. We can't negotiate anything that has to do with our bodies. We can't. We almost literally can't. So I hope it gets across. I hope it's that important. And off of the Facebook Live, back to the actual groundwork. But don't say we didn't tell you. And to all the rape apologists, you never fail your duties. You report on time. You report as expected. Always there. Same routine, same style. Nothing changes. I mean, you all are just committed. But to the fighters, to the people that wake up every day ready to debunk that, ready to take their rightful places, I respect you. You're so unshaken as well. To the rapist, see you at the battleground, see you in court, see you online, offline, in our communities and everywhere else. We will weed you out. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the ICC. It doesn't matter if you own 10 billion companies. It doesn't matter if you are the head office of the police. It doesn't matter if you are the lead man at the crimes unit. It doesn't matter if you are the chief champion of slaughtering. It just doesn't matter. All of you, and with all the people that support you, and with all the people that stand with you, get out of my face. All right, everyone. Bye. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.